Scene 8. 1 week later, an office. A center stage is a conference table. At center stage is a conference table with several chairs. Sitting at the conference are Steve, Lewis, and a third man, Lewis's attorney, Morton Fellshine.
I'm glad you're here. So how are things?
Things are going okay.
I heard that you're training again.
Yes, I'm thinking about making a comeback.
Well, I'll be rooting for you. So, let me tell you why I asked you to come here.
Okay.
It's like this. I know that the past few years have been hard for you, with you having lost the fight to McCoy and that you invested $35,000 in my company without a return on your investment. So, what I want to do is terminate our business relationship and return your money to you, plus 3,000 interest. I think that would be fair.
Why do you want to do this now?
Because after all these years, I don't think these properties will ever generate sufficient income.
Okay, so you want to give me my $35,000 plus $3,000 in interest to buy out my 1/3 share in the company because the buildings are not making any money?
Yes.
How do I know you're telling me the truth?
Well, if you don't believe me, ask Mr. Felshire. He'll tell you.
No, I mean, that's completely right. These buildings are, for all intents and purposes, worthless. And if you don't accept Mr. Bromeyer's offer, now his liquidity is such that any cash payments due in the future may be placed in jeopardy. Meaning that he may not have the money to pay your share. So you'd be well advised to take the money now while his liquidity is still intact.
Okay, but a few days ago I checked these buildings out myself and they looked fully occupied. So how can they be losing money?
Well, what you said is true, and I commend you for taking the time to check out the buildings yourself. But because of extremely high and ever-increasing overhead costs with taxes, repairs, legal, insurance, utilities, and the like, even if the buildings are fully occupied, they're still not making money.
Yeah, that's correct.
Are you telling me that I've been waiting 9 years to make the money you promised me, and now you're telling me it was all pipe dream?
I'm sorry for that, and I understand how you must feel. But things just didn't work out, and so I want to make this right and give you back your money.
Well, okay, if that's what you think is best.
This is what we think is best, and we're trying to look out for you. So let me give you some papers to sign. Now, by signing these papers, you agree to accept $38,000 to fully relinquish your share in Mr. Bromeyer's company. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good. So now, after you sign the papers, Mr. Bromeyer will write a check for $38,000 drawn from his private account, payable to the company, which he will endorse, and then we will deposit the check in the company bank, from which you will receive your remittance. The reason for this is to show on the books that the payment is a business transaction, not a personal one. Either way, you're still going to receive your money. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Good, good. So now, if you could just sign the papers, please.
Excellent. You did the right thing, Steve. You're looking out for your future. That's good. Now, let me write that check.
End of scene 8.
Scene 9. 2 years later. Bailey's boxing in Florida. Steve is working the punching bag and Dudley Douglas enters.
Steve?
Oh. Who might... Oh, hey, I remember you. You're the newspaper, you're Douglas, right?
That's right.
It's been a long time. How you doing? Hey, sorry I lost that fight. I heard you got fired.
Personally, I thought you were ahead on points when the ref stopped the clock, but that's the way it goes.
I thought so too. I thought about filing a protest, but, what good without it done? I know I was washed up, and I thought I'd never get another chance. So what are you up to now?
Well, I'm the chief sports reporter for the Newark Eagle, which is why I'm here. I heard that you had returned to the ring after your long layoff, and I wanted to do a story on you.
Okay, let's sit down.
Steve and Douglas walk over to two empty chairs and sit. Douglas takes out a pad and pen.
After the McCoy fight, I decided to put away the gloves and try something else. So through my wife, I got involved with a church and started studying to be a minister, but that wasn't for me. I'm not the book learning type. But it was something to do, and it kept me busy and stopped me from thinking about boxing and what might have been. But there was one problem. I had no income.
Could you have gone back to work?
No, there was no way I was ever going back to that job, ever.
So,
Absolutely out of the question.
So then how did you manage financially?
My wife got a job as a babysitter and a maid for a nice couple of attorneys, and I wound up collecting welfare.
So how did your wife feel about you being on welfare?
Well, she wasn't too happy about it, but she felt it was better than me being in the ring, which is something she was always opposed to.
Yet here you are, back in the ring.
After 9 years of scrounging, the need for money became too great, and after talking with my uncle, who was also my manager, I decided that I would go back doing what I do best, which is boxing.
So how did you feel about returning to the gym after such a long layoff?
At first it felt a little strange, because I was away from it for so long, and it took me a lot longer than I thought to get back into shape, but with the help of my uncle, I finally got back my boxing legs and I started getting matches.
And how have you done?
2 wins and 6 losses. Although one of those losses I thought I actually won. You see, I'm considered a journeyman boxer now, meaning that I'm the guy that they call to fill in the cards. I'll fight anyone, and it doesn't matter to me if I win or lose, just as long as I get paid.
So you're not looking at another shot for the title?
If that happens, that's great, but I certainly wouldn't say no. But right now, I'm just looking to make matches, period.
And you feel okay with that?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, it gets me out of the house and I go on the road, which is nice. I've even thought about it a couple times. I've even fought a couple times overseas.
Oh, we're overseas.
6-round bout in Moscow and an 8-round bout in Buenos Aires in Argentina.
And how did you do in those fights?
Well, I went the distance in Moscow, but I lost the fight in Buenos Aires by a TKO. But for both fights, the pay was really good, and the fans in both cities were great.
In what way were the fans great?
They love boxing. And a lot of them seemed to be rooting for me, which was nice.
The background music stops, followed by a news report.
Would you mind if we just take a break for a moment? I'd like to listen to the news.
Sure, no
I like
problem.
keeping up with the world events.
This is Jen Thompson with the 2 o'clock news. Our lead story: earlier today in the United Nations Security Council voted to impose some of the harshest sanctions in history on the People's Republic of Balizistan after their leader publicly declared his intention to continue with plans to build a hydrogen bomb. The United States is calling on the international community to take action with the deal and the Balizistanian threat. And in business news, a Philadelphia businessman, Louis Bromeyer, has been voted Business Person of the Year by the National Association of Business Owners. According to reports, Bromeyer has made tens of millions of dollars from extensive real estate holdings throughout the Philadelphia area, specializing in the upgrading of dilapidated buildings. Bromeyer credited his family and hard work for his extraordinary success. When asked about his future plans...
Ernie, turn that radio off now! That son of a bitch! That damn thief! 1/3 of what he has is mine!
What are you talking about?
That guy, Bromeyer, he ripped me off! I owned 1/3 of those buildings. Here I am, knocking myself around for years trying to make some money. All the while, all that time, that bastard has been cleaning up at my expense. He's not gonna get away with that. Do you hear me?
First, calm down and tell me what's wrong.
9 years ago, I became a 1/3 party member with this guy, Louis Bromeyer. The guy you just heard about, on the radio, on the news. All the while he's telling me that our properties are making no money, and then a couple of years ago, he said he wanted to give me back my 1/3 interest. My $35,000 plus $3,000 in interest, because he felt sorry for me, and he knew I needed the money, and that the buildings would never make any money, and now it's reported that this thief is making millions all along, and he lied to me.
But what about the money that he repaid you?
I never saw a penny of it. Never. The damn thief. I'll take care of him, but good. He's not going to play me for a chump.
This is some story. Struggling boxer ripped off by shady businessman.
Yeah, that's a great story for you, but what does the story do for me?
Heard of the power of the press? Nobody likes negative publicity.
Negative publicity won't change anything. I'm going to take care of this my way.
Douglas is rapidly writing notes on her pad while Steve is nervously pacing back and forth as the lights go out. End scene 9.
Scene 10. Time, 2 hours later. Lewis's office. Present are Lewis and his wife Melissa, a middle-aged woman conservatively attired. They are sitting at the conference table. In the middle of the table is a large trophy.
That's such a beautiful trophy they gave you.
Yes, it is.
And well-deserved, too. It's good that somebody finally recognized you for all your good work that you've done.
Yes, and it is paid well, too.
Steve suddenly enters. He is dressed in street clothing but still has his boxing.
You son of a bitch! I want my money now!
Steve, what are you talking about?
You told me those buildings would never make any money, and now I've heard they're making millions of dollars? I want my 1/3 share.
I paid your share 2 years ago.
Don't insult me. You played me for a fool, and nobody does that to me. Nobody.
Oh, would you please calm down? You're scaring my wife.
I don't give a goddamn about your wife. You tried to pull a fast one on me, but I'm onto you now. Now pay up. Now.
Please leave.
Yeah, leave. Before I call the police.
Call the police. Call whoever you want. I'm here to collect, and I'm through waiting.
But your share in the company ended 2 years ago.
No, it did not. I never saw a penny.
Well, I wrote a check that you endorsed.
You're wasting time. Now start paying now. I figure you must owe me about $3 million.
What?
You're insane! This is a shakedown!
You're crazy.
And you're a slut. Come on.
Okay, I had enough of this.
As Lewis starts to stand up, Steve runs around the table and charges at Lewis. As he is about to grab Lewis, Steve trips over a telephone wire and tumbles into Lewis, who falls backward onto the floor with a loud thump. Steve is squatting.
My leg! My leg! I think I broke my leg.
Melissa grabs the trophy and hits Steve on the head several times. From off stage comes the sound of sirens, which are getting louder. Steve backs away from Lewis. Steve is bleeding heavily from his head. 2 police officers enter.
We got a complaint from the people downstairs of a loud disturbance. What's the problem?
This bastard barged in here and attacked my husband.
Police officer 2 grabs Steve, quickly spins him around, places him in handcuffs, and pulls him away from
I didn't do anything. She attacked me.
Help me, I think I broke my leg.
Good, I hope you die, you bastard.
Shut up, I'm calling an ambulance.
We have a 1060 at 27 Herkimer Lane. 2 persons hurt. Send an ambulance. Over.
That animal almost killed us. He needs to be put away.
You lying bitch. Your thief husband ripped me off.
Do you live or work here?
Who needs to know?
I do.
Look, I want to go home.
Is this your office?
Yeah, it is.
Is your name on the front door?
No, so what?
Whose name is on the front door?
I don't know. You tell me.
Hey, stop being such a wise ass.
You're under arrest for disorderly conduct, harassment, extortion, assault, obstructing a police investigation, and attempted murder.
Attempted murder? If I had tried to murder him, he would have been dead by now.
You have a right to remain silent. Anything that you say may be used against you in court of law, and you have the right to a court-appointed attorney if you cannot afford one. Do you understand your rights?
You're arresting the wrong person.
I asked you something. Do you understand your rights?
Yeah, I understand them. How come he now reading her rights too? She tried to kill me.
Tell that to the arraignment judge.
From off stage comes the sound of a siren, and scene 10.
Scene 11, 2 years later. The visitor's room on an inpatient unit of the Pennsylvania State Psychiatric Institution for the Criminally Insane. Seated at the table are Steve, Cindy, Gus, and a 4th person, Leon Delsinger, Steve's court-appointed lawyer.
Now, Steve, I was able to get your case transferred to the mental health part, which is good because it got you out of jail.
Thank goodness for that.
But that doesn't mean your criminal case is over. The complainant still wants to press charges.
He got what he deserved.
Look, I'm not going to argue your case with you here. I'm just telling you what your situation is and to make sure you understand your options.
I already know my options. I can admit that I did something wrong and get a fine and suspended sentence. Or I can go to trial, which is what I want.
And which you could lose.
Steve, you're violating that first order of protection by making 3 calls to the complainant. Did not help your case.
I didn't do anything wrong.
How much longer does Steve have to be in here?
That's up to the doctors and the court. I'm going to petition the court to place Steve in an outpatient program. Have you been taking your meds?
He's been taking his medications.
Please just let Steve answer. So have you been taking your meds?
Yes, I have, but they make me feel woozy. I don't like that.
Did you tell that to the doctor?
I did, but nobody seems to care.
Look, I know it's rough being confined here in the hospital, but you have to cooperate with the doctors, otherwise it makes it harder to get you released and back to your home.
What am I doing here anyway?
You see how forgetful he's becoming?
Let me explain again. So, the court-appointed psychiatrist found that you had some damage to the brain, and as a result, you needed treatment. The court sent you to an outpatient program, but you stopped taking your medications and started calling the complainant, so your bail was revoked and the court ordered that you be incarcerated in a hospital, which is why you're here now. If you show willingness to cooperate and comply with your treatment program, the court may be agreeable to you being discharged to an outpatient program.
So what do I have to do?
You have to comply with the treatment.
Okay, I'll take my medications. What about my civil case?
You mean the one you started with the complaint?
Yeah, I'm suing that bastard.
Yeah, but your lawyer said the case was weak.
No way. That guy owes me a lot of money.
I know that, but at the preliminary hearing, the court ruled that you had not proven your case.
So I'm appealing.
Why can't you drop it already? What's done is done.
Because I can't let him get away with what he did to me. Why should I?
It's only causing you more problems.
There is no way. I'm dropping that case against that guy. I don't care how long it takes and whether I go to jail or if I'm not in jail or how many times I have to sue. I will never give up. Never. He could take that $38,000 and shove it you know where.
Yeah, but we could use that money.
That's chump change, nothing more. That guy owes me at least $5 million. He told me that those properties are worthless and he lied to me. He's not going to get away with that.
Do you see what I have to do?
Look, I can't comment on Steve's civil case. I can only hope that you prevail, but what I can comment on is how I plan to get you released from the hospital. It's going to require your full cooperation.
Look, Mr. Delsinger, I'm very appreciative for all that you've done for me so far, but I want to get out of here now.
Well, if you let me help you, then maybe.
Maybe? Is that all you can give me? Maybe?
I can't promise you anything, but I can say this. If you don't want to listen to me, you can get yourself another attorney because I don't want you to waste your time on mine. Okay?
All right, you win. I'll listen to you.
Now that's the right attitude. Okay. So this is the plan.
End of scene 11.
Scene 12. 3 years later. A room in the Philadelphia Civil Courthouse. Center stage is a large conference table. On both the left and right sides of the table are chairs. Steve, Cindy, and Leslie Arrington. Steve's attorney seated on the right. Lewis and Melissa and Felsheim are seated at the right. Seated in the middle is Angela LaPlante, a court-appointed mediator.
My name is Angela LaPlante, and the court has appointed me mediator in the case of Donopoulos versus Bromeyer. The purpose of this conference is to determine whether this case can be settled without going to trial. Please note that the proceeding is off the record and there will be no sworn testimony. Noting that all parties are present, we can start. The plaintiff may begin first.
Your Honor, this case is very simple. My client...
I want that bum to admit that he lied to me and give me the money that he owes me.
I object to the plaintiff's characterization of my client.
The plaintiff is to refrain from using abusive or offensive language.
What? That I called him a bum? I'm just telling the truth.
You barged into my office like a bandit and terrorized my wife and attacked me, and now you're calling me names? Disgusting.
That office is 1/3 mine.
You're out of your mind. That's why they put you away.
It should have been you who was put away, not me. Why aren't you paying me what you owe me?
Look. I offered to repay you the $35,000 that you had invested, and you agreed to that offer.
Did you not endorse the check for $38,000?
We have already stipulated to that. My client never saw a penny of the money.
And since my client offered to make good on that sum, then what are we doing here?
As far as my client is concerned, non-receipt of the money voided the original agreement. Hence, my client's status as a partner remains intact and in effect. And according to your client, it was my client 1/3 of the income from the properties owned by your client, proportionate to my client's share in the company. Retroactive to the date when they first formed their partnership.
I think you're stretching the law of contracts to the limits.
I'd like to stretch your neck, you shyster.
Once again, I object to the plaintiff's outburst.
Counselor, please control your client.
Yes, Your Honor. Stop calling the defendant names.
But he's the thief, not me.
Your Honor, if I may,
Yes.
this man is a thug who almost killed my husband.
You almost killed me.
We were defending ourselves against you.
Wrong. You were trying to chase me out of the place. That's 1/3 mine.
You are delusional.
Listen, sister, please stop provoking him.
Who are you calling sister?
Me, that's who. What are you gonna do about it? Try to kill me like you did my husband?
We were trying to defend ourselves against a maniac.
You ripped me off, and I'm the maniac?
Ladies and gentlemen, we must have order or I will suspend this meeting.
She started it.
I started it. You started with me. You're as nasty as your husband.
Enough! If there are any more outbursts, I will have this room vacated. Now, do you understand? I need to hear that you understand.
I understand.
All right, but she started it.
I don't want to hear that again. Now let's proceed. Mr. Feldstein?
Let's get to the point. To settle this case, my client has offered to pay the plaintiff $38,000, which is the money the plaintiff is owed. Is he willing to accept the offer?
The defendant has made a firm offer. Do you accept?
That offer is a joke.
I'm sorry you feel that this is a joking matter.
I didn't say that, and please don't put words in my mouth.
Mr. Arrington, does your client accept the offer?
No, he does not.
Listen, pal, just pay me what I'm owed.
This is exactly what we're trying to do. You agreed to accept $38,000 to relinquish your share in my client's company, and after you learned that my client's properties had become profitable, you've been trying to back out from that agreement ever since. That's the entire case, a case that you cannot win.
Objection to the counselor's last
Mr.
comment.
Feldstein, your last comment was out of order.
Thank
The
you.
merits of this case will be decided by the court.
Thank you.
I can't win this case? Says you. I never received a penny of that $38,000, and you know it. All I want is what's mine, which is 1/3 of the millions of dollars that Lewis made. So take out your checkbook and write down a decent number, one that has at least 6 zeros and a number 3 at the far left, and then we can end this bickering and we can leave this room as friends.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't see why not. Your client misled my client and deceived my client for financial gain. My client is 1/3 shareholder in your client's company, was tricked into signing away his interest in the company. Thus, the agreement to terminate my client's share is void, and my client's share in the company remains in effect. And as my client so eloquently stated, all you need to do is write a check that contains a certain fair and equitable number.
Your argument is without any legal foundation.
I disagree. A contract not completed is a contract that is void. Your client defrauded my client, and all my client wants to do is be made whole. That's all. So, just to do what's right, write the check and we can be done with this.
You're demanding millions of dollars, which money that my client neither has nor owes.
You know, I'm getting sick of you and your client and tired of you guys putting me and my wife through the ringer.
It's been horrible.
That's his fault, not
I
ours.
spent a month in the hospital because of you.
I can't help it that you're clumsy.
You attacked me, I did not attack you.
Then how come it was Steve who wound up in the hospital?
Because we had to defend ourselves.
From someone who wanted to talk with his business partner.
Who asked him to visit?
Who asked you to be here?
I'm beginning to get fed up with you.
Just be quiet.
That's no way to talk to your wife.
Who the hell are you to tell me how to talk to my wife?
Who asked you for your help? Look, all we want is the money that you owe Steve.
He doesn't owe your precious husband a dime, okay?
Cindy stands up and throws her pocketbook at Melissa's head. The
Hey.
pocketbook misses Melissa by inches, pandemonium ensues.
Hey, what's going on here? Hey, stop it.
Hey, who asked you to rip me off?
Nobody ripped you off.
Yeah, right.
You are pathetic.
You can call me all the names you want, but if you think you're gonna get away with ripping me off, you've got something else coming to you.
You see, you're becoming threatening again.
I'm not threatening anyone, all right? I want what's mine, period. And nobody will deny me. Not you, not you, not you, and nobody. Do I make myself clear?
Quiet! Based upon what I've heard thus far, I have determined that the parties are not able to arrive at an agreement. I shall recommend that this matter proceed to trial. This meeting is adjourned. I am ordering that the room be cleared now.
Did you hear that? Finally, with the Lord's help, I'm gonna have my day in court.
You already had your day in court and you wound up in a state mental hospital.
That was different. Now, with this guy on my side, we're gonna win.
Okay. I'll be back. I'm in the powder room house.
Your wife is a nice lady. Look, if you don't mind, I need to ask you something.
Sure, go ahead.
Why do you think the Lord's going to help you?
Because he listens to my prayers.
Okay, well, but with all the billions of people on this planet, like, why should the Lord pay particular attention to you?
Because we're all equal before the eyes of the Lord, so he pays each of us equal attention.
Okay, I get that, but still, how has that helped you so far?
The ways of the Lord are hard to figure out. Job went through the ringer before he found salvation.
That doesn't tell me anything.
What are you guys talking about?
Nothing much, just small talk.
Doesn't sound like that to me.
My good friend here was quizzing me over something that I said.
No, I was just curious. You go ahead and think what you want.
Look, I didn't mean to offend you.
No, I mean, you got it back there. I hope I didn't offend you.
Mr. Arrington, I think I know what you were talking about. Steve talks all the time about how the Lord's going to save him.
Look, if that's what gets you through the day, fine.
Two bailiffs enter.
Hey, why are all of you still here?
Oh, we were just about to leave.
Well, you need to leave now because we gotta lock up.
The man said we're leaving.
Pardon me?
I said we're leaving, okay?
Then why do I still see you here?
Officer, we are leaving.
I don't need to take this crap from him.
Hey, can that talk? Now!
I'm ordering you all to leave this room now.
Hey, back off!
Calm down right now or I'm gonna have to arrest you.
What a bunch of baloney! I didn't do anything.
Sir, please understand my client has emotional issues.
No, you think I'm crazy?
Can you control your client?
I resent that question.
Like I told your client, and I'm telling you, calm down now.
Can you beat that? He thinks I'm crazy.
Well, aren't you? Isn't that why you were in the hospital?
If the bunch of you are not out of here in the next 5 seconds, you're all going to be placed under arrest.
Let's get out of here.
I don't like being pushed around.
That's it, you're all under arrest. You and you turn around and put your hands behind your backs.
Cindy complies. Steve does not move. Bailiff 1 grabs Steve and tries to turn him around. Steve breaks free and punches the bailiff in the face. The bailiff collapses on the floor, blood pouring from his nose and mouth. Bailiff 2 pulls out a taser and shoots Steve in the abdomen. Steve immediately collapses.
Oh no!
Are you okay?
The bailiff 1 does not reply. Bailiff 2 takes out a radio phone.
This is part 7 on the 4th floor. I have an officer down and seriously injured. The perpetrator has been tased. I need an ambulance now. This is an emergency. Out.
What'd you do that for?
Bailiff 2 grabs Steve, turns him around, grabs his arms, pulls him behind his back, and cuffs him.
Now you're under arrest.
Look what you've done.
I didn't do anything. Do something.
Listen, I'm your civil attorney right now. There's nothing I can do for you.
Well, what kind of attorney are you?
I'm beginning to ask myself the same question.
Bailiff 2 cuffs Cindy.
Hey, leave my wife alone.
Sir, I suggest you keep quiet.
Arrington is exiting.
Where do you think you're going? You're under arrest too.
Hey, what did I do?
Oh, my stomach hurts.
You'll be fine.
You're all under arrest for assaulting an officer of the court, disorderly conduct, obstruction of justice, conspiracy to riot, creating a disturbance in the court.
Bailiff 2 chains Steve, Arrington, and Cindy together and has them sit on the floor. All three chained to each other. Bailiff 1 regains consciousness, but is groggy. Bailiff 2 helps Bailiff 1 up to his feet and then escorts him out of the room. Steve, Cindy, and Arrington are now alone.
I hope you're happy now. At least you can kill that guy. Well, what do you have to say?
What do you want me to say? I'm sorry?
Well, that might be good for starters.
I know I've done stupid things, but at least I've realized that what I've done has been stupid. Which is more than I can say for most people who do stupid things and never realize it. So as we go off to jail for the second time, I can only say, in response to your question, that the Lord is saving me for some greater purpose, the details of which I do not know and cannot know. Further, I know that I've hurt people, but I've been damaged too. By my pride, by my selfishness, by my vanity. These are my weaknesses, but at least I know my shortcomings, as bad as they are.
Well, if you know all this, then why didn't you change your ways?
I have no choice in the matter. I am what I am, and I do what I do. I did not choose to be poor or without social advantages. And I tried to play according to the rules, and I lost twice, in the ring and in business. That makes me a two-time loser, which does not make me feel too good. But as the good book says, I'm the light of the world, and I don't want that light to go out, no matter how much dumb stuff and destructive things that I do. I'm meant for better things. I know that I've gotten you and my wife into trouble, and that is my fault, for which I will take the blame. But things will work out for the best.
That's baloney. You do have a choice. Nobody forced you to go back to boxing. I sure didn't. And nobody forced you to deal with Lewis or to beat him up. You have to take responsibility for your actions.
I am taking responsibility.
No, you're not. You're evading responsibility, calling yourself a two-time loser and saying that you're the light of the world, like you're some kind of role model to be proud of. All nonsense.
You're my wife. Why are you turning against me?
Turning against you? Right. I've stayed with you and stuck by you even though I disagreed with you. And now look at me in handcuffs like a common criminal. And it is all your fault. All of it.
I don't want to talk about this anymore, especially in front of him.
Why? If you're the light of the world, then you should have nothing to hide.
I think we need to concentrate on other more immediate matters.
This is an immediate matter. I want a divorce.
A divorce?
I'm done.
Fine. Who needs you?
See how nasty he is?
No comment.
Some wife you are. It's because of you that I'm a failure.
That's right. Blame me for being married to a failure.
Well, the two of you just please cut it out. Enough of your bickering. Right now we're all upset and can say things that we don't mean.
Oh, she means it.
You bet I do.
You didn't really mean it. Thought you wanted a divorce, did you?
At this point, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm too upset to talk, and we can talk when we get home.
That's if we get home.
We'll get home. Things have a way of working themselves out.
Yeah, usually for the worse.
Hope you're right.
Bailiff 2 enters.
Everyone up. Time to go to court.
Steve, Arrington, and Cindy struggle to stand up and then begin exiting.
Let justice prevail.
Yeah, right.
The end.